Alrighty, we have a doubleheader tonight, leading off with the professor and the pupil. I am pleased to be joined by my co-host, Stephen Reichel. And I was telling Stephen what I love about the show is we get a chance to talk about boxing in this show. We don't really get too many opportunities to do it. And if there's a combat sports guy better than Stephen Reichel, find him because this guy is dynamite. And Jimmy Walker would say good times. How many people are old enough to know it? Busy show to get to. Plus, we're going to even talk about the controversial Philly Karen. Right up your alley, right, Stephen?
Well,
Right?
technically, the game was in Miami, so she's not a Philly Karen. She's a Karen for sure. But we'll get into that as we go through it.
Yeah, we will. Let me tell you, we got some real wild stuff tonight. So hope you can stay with us. Glad to have Joshua Dort in the house. Canelo. Yes, Billy Karen, good topic from Josh and the guys. You bet. That's why it made this show.
We're getting closer. Was it? I think we're not even a few weeks away, are we?
Yeah. Yeah, I got news for you, Joshua Dort. You guys came up with an idea. I just felt this was the appropriate place to go ahead and put it. And that's why we're leading off with it. It's a trending topic. But before we do that, Stephen, let's talk about an addition that the Phillies recently made is they claimed left-hander reliever Tim Mayza off waivers from Pittsburgh. The 33-year-old Allentown native posted a 2.89 earned run average in just 9.1 innings this season before an injury kept him out. In his career, Mayza has a 3.85 ERA, and in postseason, he's allowed a run in 4.1 innings pitched. What are your thoughts about that acquisition by the Phillies? I mean, hey, listen, if you get a left-handed pitcher any kind, left-handers to me are just commodities.
I'm gonna answer that in 1 second, Josh. It is this weekend, just so you know, it's on Netflix. But listen, man, we've already been talking about this Phillies bullpen being able to steal a quality arm out of Boston. Obviously, he's trying to get into some potential pitching in October. Can't blame him there. A lot of stuff's going on right now, so love it. Love shoring up the bullpen. I think as we talked about that over the last few weeks, the only real concern is the consistency from the bat and what's going to happen when you're starting pitching. Losing a Zach Wheeler is something you cannot replace. So, you know, glad that the Phillies are making sure the back end is solidified, but you still got to hit the ball, which is what was been the problem the last few years. Still got to know who you're getting at least 6-7 innings out of your starting four when it gets to October. So we'll see.
Hey, Joshua, great point. Love this one. Keep it up for a minute, Candy. I'll be covering the USF game in person and then Canelo Crawford on Netflix. You know what? I'm looking forward to going to the USF game. I'll tell you for a lot of different reasons. I cover the Miami Hurricanes. They were the first team I ever covered back in 1982. I'm always going to be a Canes person through and through between, but I also feel indebted to USF. That's my alma mater. Graduated at USF in 1986, so there's no way I can lose in this game, and I'm planning to go out there and spend some time. Actually, in the USF media availability, and as I want to talk to Alex Golish, who is actually a hot commodity, and they came up with a very impressive one. We'll talk about more about that game tomorrow night's edition of Inside the Picks with Joshua. Great comment. These are comments I look forward to having you on. But as far as now that you brought up Canelo Alvarez, on August 26th, Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz will be part of the VIP experience for fans at the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight on September 13th in Vegas. What are your thoughts about that?
Listen, the stars are always going to come out for these bigger events. Obviously, for people who don't know, this is the first one that's going to be first boxing event that's going to be promoted by Dana White. This is the first fight he put on, which is going to be Crawford and Canelo. So it should be a fun fight. Should be an exciting fight. Probably one of the better fights that has been announced over the last few weeks. So because we've been getting more of these goofier fights from Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson nonsense. You even me and you have even talked about Jake Paul and the Tank Davis fight, which is from what I'm hearing, they're still having problems getting sanctioned through the Atlanta Athletic Commission. So we'll see what happens, but Yeah, I agree with Josh. I think
Yeah, Joshua Dore's on point with a lot of his comments. He says, I don't watch boxing much these days, but used to be a big boxing fan. I'll be tuning in a
but
lot.
it's because it's
No,
changed. Like you got to, so much
well,
has
it has.
changed about the sport. You can't watch it in the same way that you used to. It's
Right.
streaming this, streaming that. As I was telling you, like this is the first time since 1940 that there is no boxing on terrestrial television anywhere.
Right.
It's not on CBS. It's not on NBC. It's not on Showtime. It's not on nothing. So
Right.
we're in a different day and age on what boxing is. And then you even look at how it's being promoted, what type of fights are being promoted outside of the Canelo Alvarez and Crawford. Tell me a fight that you're looking forward to. I'm not looking for the Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis fight. Do not blame Davis for taking the paycheck for whatever that's going to be. Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather is another circus act. So
Right.
pay-per-view's been dead, Josh. There's not enough stars for you to in multiple different fights in multiple different weight classes to put on pay-per-views anymore. That's why the UFC is fading away from the pay-per-views because they just don't have the fighters that have that drawing power. I mean, Conor McGregor set the record, consecutive buys over 1 million. And no one's gotten close to that since then. There hasn't been a athlete as popular, male, female, etc., in combat sports to carry a pay-per-view card. So that's why pay-per-view's dead.
Yeah, there you go. You have it. All right. The wait is over. Teofimo Lopez accepts the fight with Shakur Stevenson in early 2026. You're looking forward to that one.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, the problem with what we have with boxing is there is no superstars, and then the other part of that is that regardless if we're talking WBO, WBC, whatever, they don't go and grow these boxers like they used to.
Right.
I mean, like even like when you used to regularly cover it, you could name 5, 10, 15 guys. It didn't matter the weight class. Can you name me 5 active boxers today that you would actively watch and pay for? I'm pretty sure you can't. And that has nothing to do with the athletes. That has to do with how these people are being promoted. They don't, a lot of the top level people wind up going to MMA, wind up going to bare knuckle boxing and things of that nature because they're getting more opportunities and they're getting the push otherwise. I still think when it boils down to it, the top level boxers were always going to get paid more than whoever we're talking in MMA and bare knuckle. That's only because MMA and bare knuckle has been around for 30 plus years to 5 to 10 years. So boxing has all this time and exposure over these other two combat sports where the money isn't quite there yet. When the money starts to even out, that I think that's when we'll start seeing boxing being in some real trouble. But
I agree.
We'll see what happens with this fight. I don't like to put anyone down and sit there and say, "Hey, I'm not really." I'm always interested in any fight as long as both fighters are in there ready to throw down and ready to do the thing. It doesn't matter what their name is.
Yeah, and to answer your question, no, I can't name 5.
But that's exactly going to my point.
Right. Exactly, that's my point. I'm responding to you.
Major problem right now. That's their major problem.
I'm responding to you. I agree with you. Okay. Yes, I do agree with you, Steven. I do agree. It's hard to name 5. If it weren't for Instagram, I wouldn't be able to name any of them. Instagram's been my savior all this.
I'm going to disagree with you here, Josh. I'll always love boxing, but the other combat sports, aka MMA, UFC, and bare knuckle boxing, regardless if we're talking BKFC, BYB, etc. Even what Mike Perry has done with dirty boxing. I like what they're doing with their events over with what boxing is doing as a whole. Boxing is my first love of combat sports, point blank period. There's no taking that away from it. But it's like you said, it's just it's a travesty of where that sport has come, has gone, what it is. We got a YouTuber, quote unquote, saving it. The only thing he's doing is promoting women's boxing, in my opinion. But that's an argument for another day.
Let me tell you, I have a major debt of gratitude for boxing. My first major interview was Muhammad Ali. Sugar Ray Leonard subsequently followed, and James Toney and a bunch of other guys. So I have nothing but the utmost respect for boxing. I really, really love the sport. I wish it was in much better shape than it is now. Unfortunately, all people have to do is look at the history of the sport, and it's just, to me, unbelievable. So boxing, to me, if you look at, I have Muhammad Ali in my book called Lessons from the Microphone. Candy will promote it shortly. But Sugar Ray Leonard was always nice. I found that one thing I enjoy about interviewing boxers, and Chuck Wepner was also a favorite of mine too, is they are hungry for the publicity, and boxers will go out of their way to spend time to give you some of the best answers. I'm going to stay on one more boxing topic. We'll go to a station break, and what we'll be doing, we'll talk about Colin Cowherd, Ric Flair, and Philly Karen. So when we come back, but first of all, one more boxing topic before we get to the middle of the show. Larry Holmes says a prime Muhammad Ali would have beaten up Mike Tyson because he's a face fighter. Ali's jab would destroy him. Holmes beat Ali and in 1980, but lost to Tyson 8 years later. So, what are your thoughts? This is a compelling debate by Holmes. I'm going to give you your opinion, and then I also have some opinions on this one as well.
Well, I'm gonna refer to The Rock in the movie The Rundown with this.
Okay.
Anyone who's watched this movie, it's one of the funnier parts of the movie, right? And his character was asked who would win in a fight, Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali. I love Mike Tyson, right? But I'm a combat sports person to the point where I've gone back. I watch old fights, from the 80s, the 70s, etc.
Right.
Going back as far as I can, as long as it's something easy enough to watch, and the quality of the video isn't so terrible. But Muhammad Ali, listen, Mike Tyson was a destroyer. But here's the thing: what was he going to do when when Muhammad Ali was doing everything that he could in the world to get in his head, and he'd find ways into everyone's head, and that was one of his things. And we've seen what happens to Mike when people get in his head. He acts out and does stupid things. When his game plans didn't work, we see what happened in the Evander Holyfield fight, how he lashed out and acted out.
Right.
I think he was the better boxer IQ, so to speak, the fight IQ. I think he would have found the hole that he could exploit, and he'd have pound Mike over the head with it until he laid on the mat, laid on the canvas. I think that Muhammad might not have the sheer power that Mike has, but we've seen what he did with guys that were stronger than him, right?
Right.
What
No question about it.
look what he did to George Foreman in his heyday.
Right.
He knows how to manipulate it. The only thing that beat Muhammad Ali was time, in my opinion.
Well, I
That's
think you're 100% right. Father Time beat him now. Great point. So now you set me up really nicely. Angelo Dundee was a good friend of mine. He used to get me any boxing interview in his stable that I need. Angelo Dundee, Google him up, people. This guy, to me, every champion imaginable. Rope-a-dope. Okay, once upon a time, rope-a-dope. George Foreman knew he wouldn't go ahead and be able to beat Muhammad Ali, and he later went on to say, I wouldn't fight him again because he'd find another way to beat me. So, yeah, boxing IQ is unbelievable. Larry Holmes is dead on with this one. He really, really is. There's no Ali would have Mike Tyson wouldn't have had a chance. He wouldn't even have a chance to bite his ear off because Ali would be so busy backing up that he couldn't even get to the ear. And I'll never forget the time when my ex-wife, let her rest in peace, chewed me out for getting the second one. But remember, she was at the first one in Vegas, and we had a good old time with it. Nobody expected what ended up happening. So Larry Holmes is right. I mean, Larry Holmes ended up beating Ali later in his career when by then the Parkinson's disease was starting to really get to him, and yeah, father time. But no, I totally agree with Larry Holmes for sure that Muhammad Ali would have outclassed I repeat, outclassed Mike Tyson. I mean, you think about another situation where Roberto Duran outclassed Davey Moore, right? Remember that fight? How Roberto Duran just simply used his experience to go out there and beat Davey Moore, another guy, big puncher and all that, heavily favored. Roberto Duran simply out for us. So, yeah, Larry, there's no way I would even debate you in 9 million years because you are extremely correct on this one. All right, we're going to go to a station break right now. More to come. We're going to talk about Colin Cowherd, Ric Flair, and we're going to end the show with a Philly controversy. So hope you can stay with us. We have a great show tonight. And Joshua Jordan, the guys, I give you a lot of credit for coming up with the topic. I just think on this edition of a Professor to People is more appropriate here. So I'm glad we're able to incorporate your idea in the right place. Okay, Joshua Jordan, pat yourself on the back, but don't get too egotistical because you still have to deal with humble pie in the contest to win. All right, go ahead, Candy.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media industry and how it has evolved. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content. Go check it out. If you want to advertise, call Scott 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. But more importantly, if you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, click it like a sheriff and then turn on your notifications. That way you get notified when all of our great programming comes on the station. And if you'd rather listen instead of watch, you can always get us wherever you get your podcast. Back to you, Scott.
All right, Candy, well done. All right, let's talk about Ric Flair for a moment. He is cancer-free. The WWE Hall of Famer made the announcement after being treated for melanoma. It's about time we got some good news for a change. Steven, he's cancer-free.
Yeah, he was actually like a guest host for Celebrity Boxing here in Philly right after he got diagnosed. So happy to see that Rick is cancer free. Thankfully it was just some skin cancer. So hopefully we can see him strutting, drinking, and being the good old knucklehead that he is. A little bit more, a little bit longer, because like as we just seen with Hulk Hogan, we don't know how much longer we have some of our pro wrestling legends with us moving forward. So definitely good to hear that Rick is cancer free. I mean, as we were talking about, Randy Moss is cancer free too. He's going to be heading back to the booth for Monday night. So we're gonna be seeing a lot more of some of our our childhood superstars, some of the athletes that are involved in media. So congratulations to Rick for beating this round. Hopefully it's something that he stays in remission.
Yeah, more power to Randy Moss. All right, we're going to move on to golf. Colin Cowherd. I don't watch the show a lot. I'm so busy during the day where it's on my busiest time. But Colin Cowherd doubles down on LIV golf praise after the Indianapolis event attracts record U.S. attendance. Well, I'm going to tell you, I've always been somebody that admired live golf. And the reason why is I like the team component. I really, really do. It's a little bit different from the PGA, but it's okay to see two different versions of golf. And again, more power to Colin. He sees that as well. What are your thoughts about it?
I'm with you. I don't really pay attention to Colin. Another one of these figureheads who flip flops. Right. He loves you. He loves you today, but fail tomorrow. And we all knew this and we all knew that, and you're terrible. Like I can't stand the guy, so I don't pay attention to him. As far as the attendance. When you get stuff like that, you're going to get people turning out. It's all depending on where you're going, how it's marketed. etc. So good for them for them. Setting some attendance records and doing their thing. Hopefully it's something they can keep that momentum going.
Yeah, Live Golf isn't going to go anywhere. The concept's caught on. There's a lot of money behind it and a little bit of TV involved. Yeah, I'm not a big coward guy either, but the fact that he brought up Live Golf is the only reason why he even made this show in the first place. We can put him and Live Golf. All right, Colin, you got your little bit of publicity from Steven and I here on the big show. But no, Live Golf is here to stay. I just really
talked more shit than gave him props, so I don't know if we gave him love at all.
What was that, Steven?
I said we were talking more shit than giving him love, so I don't know what we actually gave him, but
I don't know either. All I know is he brought up Live Golf, and it was worth my while to put it on the air. That's all. That's where the compliments end, man. I'm not going out there. I don't care. Everybody's got opinions. That's what nowadays you got 4 million podcasts these days and counting. So everybody got a microphone. How many of them are good enough to stay on? The only ones that are good enough to stay on is like we have always talked about. Got to be consistent and continue to come up with good content. That's how you survive. There's no shortcuts in our industry, and that's the one thing I've always mentioned in my book, Lessons from a Microphone. But to Coward's credit, he did bring up a valid point, and Live Golf is here to stay. I don't get into the political point. I just like team sports. And when you're able, let me tell you, if you've ever golfed on a course that you don't like, one of my biggest memories in golf was my brother and I and a bunch of friends golfed on the Bear out in Traverse City, Michigan. And I'll tell you, when you lose golf balls right and left, I mean, I lost about a dozen, 15, 20 on the first couple of holes because of those roughs. We had to play team golf because it was best ball at that point. It was unbelievable. I mean, this is a matter of living through the course, okay? And making sure we had any golf balls left in our pocket. It was over with. But, the day before we did the second course, it was pretty good. And we thought we'd do good on the Bear. Now, you get on a Jack Nicklaus designed golf course. This guy, Jack Nicklaus, knows how to design golf courses really, really well. And I'll tell you one thing, he definitely got me that day and a bunch of others. We had to resort to best ball for sure. All right, our featured topic of the night. We'll wait no longer. Philly Karen, she got the wrong type of publicity, Steven. And let me go ahead and preface it for those of you that haven't watched it and heard by now. The Philly Karen controversy, her name is actual Cheryl Richardson Wright. She's a liberal Trump hating Karen. That's fine. I mean, that's whatever. You like him, you don't. It doesn't matter. But she stole a birthday ball from a young child. That's absurd to begin with. And that's rotten. And yeah, actually, she was fired from her regular job. But the Marlins and the Phillies, to their credit, got the child a goodie bag and there's a chance to meet Harrison Bader. I'm going to tell you, this kid's father, Drew, took the high road and just wanted to get the woman to go away. So gave her the ball, get out of here, run out of here, do what you want. And his son, Lincoln, ended up with a better birthday present. So more power to the Marlins and the Phillies, the way they stepped up, got this child a goodie bag, an opportunity to get a signature from Harrison Bader. We all know Harrison Bader's a class act in the first place. But what are your thoughts about this entire controversy, Steven?
Well, I mean, it's something we were talking about a few weeks ago. Me, Ben, and Luther. There's a fan etiquette we need to have discussion with people about. We've seen what happened at tennis event a few weeks ago. This guy steals a hat from a little kid. We've seen fans run over kids for foul balls, for home run balls, etc. So this situation it just took it kind of to another level. It's just a head scratcher in my opinion. One, yes, he wasn't directly in your section, but he was in a section there was nobody in. The ball fell into his section. He grabbed it, took it back to his son. I don't know what made this woman felt like she was entitled to the point that she could go down there and demand the ball. And from what I've heard from the father is basically he used that as a teaching point to his son. Like, listen, just sometimes it's not worth it. And it's something I was mentioning last night when I was bringing this up, talking to Sean and Jessica is like, if you're that hard up for a ball at a baseball game, Scott, you know this too. Go to the fucking grounds crew. Go to the grounds crew on the first or third base line before the start of the game. Say, hey, can I get a couple balls for my kids? It's seriously that easy, people.
Right.
Don't be sitting there making yourself. You lost your job because you were an a-hole. You absolutely deserve that. There are so many different ways to get balls at a game, if that's what you so desire, without having to run a kid over, without having to ruin someone's birthday. There's this. I swear there has to be some like these. We talk about unspoken rules in sports. This is one of them right here.
Right.
This is one of them right here. It doesn't matter if you're Karen, you're Kyle, you're Chad. I don't care. There's just certain ways you go about things. What she did, and she wasn't done there. If people paid attention, she was accosting some other Philadelphia fans. He had a guy by his Eagles, had him by his collar, yelling in his face. She winds up getting booed out of the stadium. You lose your job. That's what you get for acting like this. There is nothing in this world that said you're entitled to anything. If you don't get the ball, unless somebody ripped it out of your hands and shoved you to the ground,
right,
I don't want to hear about it. It's so disgusting what this woman did. I said this before. I'll say it again because it's going to get brought up multiple more times this week. Right. Bravo to the Miami Marlins. Yeah. Bravo to the Philadelphia Phillies. They got it right. And they showed this kid firsthand in real time what doing things the right way gets you. Right. That not all, like, yeah, you might have lost that ball, but dude, that bat's gonna be on his wall until you know he's about to be old in the grave. He's passing along to his kids, telling the stories to them. So she made it a teaching moment and a lifetime experience that he will never forget on multiple different levels. So bravo to everyone all around. Bravo for Dad for not punching her lights out, because that's probably what I'd have been on the news in jail. So there'd have been a GoFundMe for me, because you ain't taking a home run ball for my kid. I don't care. I don't care who you are. I don't care how crazy you act. I'm gonna act crazy right along with you. Because that's just who we are. But I know you're dying to talk about it, so let's get your end of it, Scott.
I enjoyed hearing your end first. Now, I definitely am looking forward to talking about. Number one, I've worked with the Marlins the last 5 years. I had a good working relationship with them. I really have. I mean, one of my most recent highlights was being able to do my thing with Don Mattingly a few weeks ago. For those of you that haven't seen it so far on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, I had a one-on-one interview with former Marlins manager Don Mattingly. That's really something I encourage everybody to listen to. But as far as this topic is concerned, Miami Marlins work very diligently to do the right thing in the community. They really try hard. They do all the things. They invite kids on the base paths like a lot of other ones. Their manager actually talks to fans. They try really hard. This is one organization which is community driven. They really, really are. And again, at a time when this lady's making a fool out of herself for all the wrong reasons, getting me on social media for all the wrong reasons, no problem. You know what? You want that stupid baseball, or would you rather have an autographed bat from the guy that hit the darn thing and then some?
With a private face-to-face with the guy. Let's not forget.
Right? I mean, come on.
He won on, that kid won on so many levels. Like I said, it's one of those things he's never going to forget that ever.
Yeah, but the Marlins and the Phillies stepped up. I mean, listen, they're in the same division. They have a nice rivalry. And this is a one-time we can get on the show.
There's never been a rivalry between them, let's be honest.
Well, yes, there is to some extent.
To some what? Well, where have they ever been rivals?
You said I could talk, didn't you?
Come on, tell me.
Come on, I will.
Hear.
Hey, they sent you JT Real Muto, didn't they? Didn't they have Dave Dombrowski? Well, let me finish. You had your chance, now I get mine. Fair enough? You got JT Real Muto. You got Dave Dombrowski won a title here. So they did. It's not a big deal. A rivalry, I-95. You ever driven on it from I-95 from Philly to Miami? Have you?
No, because...
Okay, don't say no more. No,
there's no rivalry there.
No, I get my turn. Okay, well, I do get my turn.
This is going to change the fact there's still no rivalry.
I said it's a little rivalry. I didn't say it's like the Mets and the Phillies. Really? Seriously? Really? I knew I had to wear that.
I consider the Pittsburgh Pirates more of a rival than I'll ever consider the Miami Marlins, ever.
You're entitled to your opinion. That's why we have the show together. That's why we have a lot of fun doing the professor and the people. It's okay. I enjoy it. But you said I get my turn. I'd say it's a big rivalry for crying out loud. But you got a lot of connections back and forth. They play each other 12 times a year. They make it interesting. Yeah, I always enjoy watching Bryce Harper play anytime I get a chance to do it. Of course, with my schedule of football, covering games later in the year is hard now because I'm so tied up with the Miami Hurricanes. I get that, and I do well with the Canes. But no, I agree. I mean, it's always fun to watch the Miami Marlins. You know what's so fun about it? Though, it's just watching the amount of Philly fans track down to Lone Depot Park. So then you can't tell who's a home team because those Philly fans, when they get down there, they make themselves heard everywhere, especially in Miami off of I-95. Only guys that have driven I-95 from Philly to Miami would understand it. One of these days you'll get make your, the social media hunger that you have in you. You're bound to drive a Rolls Royce one of these days if you keep pounding your numbers on social media. I've never seen a guy on social media who is more intense and prowess than you, Stephen. I'm telling you, you're the best. I'm telling you right now that the amount of players that have gone back and forth between the Marlins and the Phillies is an awful lot. But yeah, it's pretty good stuff. But in the end, both organizations contributed to a positive thing, is what they did. The Marlins, like I said, I've worked with them a long time. They're very heavily community oriented. They really are. They do everything that they can.
Harry Roseman's doing here.
What's that?
The Eagles just traded for Tank Bisbee.
Okay.
He's a running back from Jacksonville. We traded a 5th and a 6th. I thought we needed a cornerback, not a running back.
Well, tomorrow night on Inside the Picks, we're going
to little preview.
Well, we're going to talk about the Darius Smith, but we won't talk about it tonight. I want to go into more detail of that. But staying on course here with what we have at the moment, though, this Billy Karen thing, I'm actually going to be mentioning it with a different group of people on Wednesday's edition of the Sports Exchange as well. But it's a good feel-good story with a lot of teaching moments. And once again, kudos to the Miami Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies. It really is. And the one thing about the Marlins, their manager, Clayton McCullough, who I think is going to be a great manager down the road, he's always out there talking to fans, taking pictures of them. And this guy can be good. He will. If they can give him the right pieces to work with, Clayton McCullough is going to do really, really well with the group as they go on. But this moment here with Philly Karen, Donald Trump hater, I don't care whether you like this guy or not. I mean, that has nothing to do with it. You made yourself look like a complete idiot by taking away a home run ball from a kid on his birthday. No matter whatever your intentions are, you got, like I said, the topic of the show is Philly Karen, wrong type of publicity. Yeah, it is a wrong type of publicity. And this lady here got famous for all the wrong reasons. And that's what it is. No matter whether you and I want to debate whether you feel the Marlins and the Phillies are rivalry, that's okay. I encourage everybody to go out there and roast me, pinger me on the YouTube channel, because that means you watch the show. And if you don't think there's a rivalry there, maybe there isn't. But I'm going to tell you one thing about these two. The Marlins have won 2 world championships in their existence. And I think the Phillies have only won about 2 in so many years. Say what you want about how the Marlins bought one and they developed one, but they have 2 World Series championships in their pocket, and the Phillies have a couple.
I think we only have one more and been in existence for 100 years more.
Thank you. You just made my point. Boy, you really thanks. I appreciate you doing that.
Man, we had some really bad years in the 50s and 60s. I don't want to hear it. They were bad.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That is funny.
But
great stuff. So I'll ask you a question, Stephen. What's on your agenda this week?
Nothing much, man. Obviously, I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow night, obviously, for Inside the Pigskin. Me and Ben will break things down on the Fan of the End Wednesday. We'll break down everything week 1. We'll make fun of Karen a little bit. We're definitely gonna be talking about Daniel Jones blowing out the Miami Dolphins and being the first quarterback in an NFL history to score on every single one of his drives in a game. So I'm not sitting there saying, his career is completely revived. You just blew out the Miami Dolphins. It's not nothing to hoot and holler about. But we're definitely going to talk about that. Obviously, if Daniel Jones keeps looking good, if I'm the Colts, I'm looking to trade Anthony Richardson somewhere.
Well, in the eyes of Joshua and the guys, and I know they'll watch the show later on, and we'll be pinging the Miami Dolphins pretty hard tomorrow. I got some great stuff lined up tomorrow. But you fall into the GMTA category, Mr. Reichel.
Me and Ben are, we're going to talk some WNBA. We'll talk some baseball as we're down to the last 3 weeks of the season. So obviously, give Ben to get a chance to vent his frustrations on what's going on with them Florida Gators.
Yeah.
So obviously, we're going to talk a little Spitgate.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff to talk about in the sports world. Obviously, as we were talking about with Josh, you got Canelo and
right.
Crawford coming up this weekend. There's a lot of stuff going on in the combat sports world where, we're at this point less than a month away from BKFC here in Newark, New Jersey. There's a lot of big stuff going on in the sports world. Angel Reese, you don't know what's going on with her. She got suspended for half a game by her team for conduct detrimental to the team, then refused to go in afterwards.
Right.
They have a CBA that's about to come up, and it looks like they're nowhere near where each other needs to be for them to kind of amicably move forward. There's a lot of questions surrounding the WNBA right now, if you're asking me. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the combat sports world. Obviously, I'll wind up. I'm trying to get former UFC fighter and current BKFC fighter Jimmy Rivera on. I'm trying to work out a date before his October 4th fight. He is also a head instructor. He runs a Tiger Showman's gym in New Jersey. Right. On top of the fact that he's a New Jersey State Trooper. So really? That's a lot of stuff to juggle. I love catching up with Jimmy. He's going to be at some point in time over the next few weeks. I'm going to have him on. That should be fun regardless. So I always got a full plate. It doesn't matter if we have a bunch of guests on. If we don't, it was fun last night catching up with Sean Keys of the Get Slept Fight Wear. He founded that company with former UFC champion Tim Sylvia. They do a lot of stuff together. He does a lot of stuff for the fighters in the combat sports world. So we're always doing fun stuff here, regardless if it's me, Scott, the rest of the crew, Candy, Ben, Marvin, and everyone else in between. We're gonna have some fun stuff here on the South Florida Tribune Media Network.
Funny how you break that story about Tank Bigsby, because now I just got it from CBS.
I told you, I don't know we don't need a running back. What's going on?
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Let me tell you something though. With all due respect to you, it was great to have Ben on last week. I mean, the pizzazz and the charisma that this guy is off the chart. I love having Ben on. And, of course, Marvin Powell does a great job. Melfar Jr. as well. They make that show really good. Chris Candy does a good job. You and I, we just have a blast. I mean, anybody else that comes on, it is what it is. But I'll tell you what, I hope everybody had an opportunity, if they didn't Saturday, to check out our show about the New York Yankees do or die. Myself and Mickey Callaway and Candy Ebling were on that show, and it was a pretty popular show. Mickey Callaway is a really important part of what we're doing, and he'll be on tonight's edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Former Met skipper has really added a great dimension, Stephen, to what we're doing. And the reason why I say that is anytime you have a manager on your show week in and week out, they add such an incredible dimension to what you're doing as well. So we have a lot of things, you get your athletes, I'm in the field, I get my people, make some relationships. But I got to give you credit for this. On social media, what I did is I promoted tonight's show based on an old Reel in the Rare show that I had done a while back. But the reason why I ended up doing that tonight, mainly on Twitter, it's for this reason. I took a show that was in my cupboard. Okay, wasn't going anywhere with that. I said, Stephen, here's what you're going to do. Go out there and do something with it. And with all your combat sports and everything, the Reel and Rare is so wide open that you've done an unbelievable job taking a show I had in my pocket and bringing it to life in the manner that you did. I am so proud of you. It's unbelievable for what you've done with that show, and you created it in your own. It was a good show for when I had it, but all it needed was the right touch and the right individual to bring it to life and provide it with a new meaning. And what you've done with boxing and combat sports on the real and rare is nothing short of outstanding. You really have more power to you, Mr. Rice Show. So, yeah, we have a lot on tap. I haven't even come up with even a tenth of what we're going to come up with tomorrow night, but there'll be some interesting storylines. That show will figure to get close to the 2-hour mark when I get done working with it. Some of the focal point will be on the University of South Florida Bulls Miami Hurricanes. Not so much what Miami did to Bethune-Cookman, because here's what happens. When you have the communications guy taking a 12-minute thing with Mario Cristobal and down to 6 here on Saturday night, you know full well that Bethune-Cookman game was, let's get it out of the way. We know what's going to happen. I showed up. I don't mind. I'll just get whatever I can get. And obviously the stage is set for Saturday as my alma mater takes on the school that I've been working with. So it's going to be interesting to see that game. I've seen it before. But now you've got a game on Saturday that I believe starts at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time from Hard Rock Stadium, where you got two teams ranked in the top 25. Tampa against Miami is what you have. So everybody knows the two biggest sports towns and biggest cities in the state of Florida. So the stage is set, and I'm just glad I have a chance to be there. Candy Ebling will be on the field as well to take her pictures, videos, and so forth. It's going to be neat. And if that isn't good enough, the following week, the Florida Gators come to town. So two in-state rivalries. And Miami, as we know, walked into Gainesville last year and blew out the Gators. But we'll get into more of that tomorrow. But meanwhile, Philly, Karen, well, you know what? I don't care what you look like. If you've done anything, you've certainly made a lot of media outlets happy because you got publicity for all the wrong reasons. And it's a compelling topic to talk about, but you're talking about morals and ethics. Unfortunately, Philly, Karen, you don't have either of them, so it doesn't really matter. But I'll say it for the final time in the show. Kudos to the Miami Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies for making something that turned a negative into a positive. And that's what my final words. That's it. Candy, one more station break. And then, of course, coming up at 8:45 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to have 108 Stitches Baseball. Candy, go ahead.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how it has evolved. Old school media versus new school media. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. Monday night, professor and pupil, you never know what we're going to get, but we normally put a little fighting in there. And then later, we always have a baseball show. Tuesday nights is a football show. Wednesday nights, Sports Exchange. Thursday nights, Fire Up. You never know what you're going to get on either of those two shows. And then Scott sometimes throws in a Motor City Madmouth show where he interviews one-on-one. He also has Talking Baseball Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Go check that out as well. If you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, click it, like us, share us, and then set your notifications and tell all your friends about it. That way, if you have set the notifications, you'll get notified anytime we go live or anytime we put up a video. Go check it out. If you want to advertise, call Scott 954-304-4941. Or if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. But we always appreciate comments in the comment section so we can right away get to your topics as long as they're on point. We love to have them. Back to you, Scott.
Well done, Candy. All right, Stephen, as we get ready to wrap up the show once again, 8:45 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to have a 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. This is one topic, Philly, we will not be talking about because there's so much to talk about with our On This Date segment, as well as a lot of things going on in Major League Baseball. So that's why it was the perfect opportunity to lead off with it. And again, we will revisit Philly Karen on Wednesday night on the Sports Exchange as well. So we have a really busy agenda. This will show you what our agenda, Steven, is going to look like. Okay, get this. Ready? We have this show. Obviously, we're wrapping up, and we have 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Tomorrow we have Inside the Pick'em, which is a standalone show. But on Wednesday night, I'm going to have Tom Shanahan on, and he's a guy that's a author, and we're going to talk about his book as well. And then Wednesday night, we have the Sports Exchange. On Thursday, we're going to have the No Limits. And what's nice about that is I'm going to have a guy called the Argentine Gringo from South Philly, who will be a future guest on the Professor and the People. I'm not going to get, that'll be on around 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And of course, by Fire Up as well. That doesn't count the fact that Candy and I plan to try to get down to Lone Depot Park to cover the Tigers and the Marlins one game. And of course, we have the Miami Hurricanes, USF Bulls. And by Sunday, guess what? I think it'll be time for me to take a break until we're at it again next Monday night. The only thing that we don't know, Candy and I, is what restaurant we're going to eat at Sunday, if we go to any of them at all. But with that said, Stephen, well done. I love going out there and having some interesting debates with you where I can go ahead and raise my adrenaline up so I get ready for the second show. I can't think of a better host to have and a bigger addition that I've added with you, Mr. Reichel. You've been an outstanding addition to us, and we are so absolutely proud to have you as part of the South Florida Media Network. What you've done to this network in terms of your flamboyant personality and your persistence on social media, what you've added to the shows are unbelievable. In fact, I got a vacation out of you anyways earlier in the summer to go to Europe. Was a home run in itself. So you're unbelievable, Stephen, and that's why anybody wants to know any more about Stephen Reichel as we get ready to wrap up the show, all they have to do is go to southfloridatribune.com, and there's a nice profile on Steve, the man, and you can check out more about this guy. He's an unbelievable addition. We are so proud to have him. So with that said, on behalf of Stephen Reichel, any final words real quickly?
No, just make sure you guys locked in. Enjoy Monday Night Football, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
All right. Well, once again, on behalf of Stephen Reichel, my name is Scott Morgan, Motor City Madman. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Professor and the People, and we'll see you shortly on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Well done, Stephen, and there he goes. All right. Good night, everybody.